Sitting on the beach all alone, I waited for my boyfriend to finally come out of the sea, but he wasn't planning to because he was frolicking with the fish and the dolphins and with some girl. How the hell is that? I immediately threw myself into the sea with my clothes on. I don't care if I can swim. Rebecca, what are you doing? Eric swam right up to me. That girl was right next to us too. You can't swim. Let's go ashore. Luckily, the stranger didn't follow us and swam off somewhere. My boyfriend stated that she, like himself, loves the sea and can hold her breath for a long time. Oh no, there seems to be a lot more mermaids in this world than I thought. Hi, my name's Rebecca, and I'm dating a merman. You think it's so awesome to have an unusual boyfriend. Well, I'm going to disappoint you. We have a lot of problems. For instance, Eric spends most of his time in the water, and he's convinced he can communicate with marine life. One time, he was swimming with a dolphin, and he thought it would be a good idea if he could take him for a ride. The next minute the dolphin did it, and Eric once again became convinced that he was no ordinary guy, but a real merman. After all, in addition to pseudo-communication with the dolphins, he could stay underwater for 10 minutes. When Eric came to my town, which was 6 months ago, I was very impressed with his talents. I immediately fell in love with such a cool and unusual guy, and I was able to win his heart in no time by making a cool seaweed dish. We had a totally blissful relationship. We went to the beach together. Eric would get me all sorts of cool stuff from the seabed and took pictures of beautiful fish. But then I started to notice that he spent a lot more time underwater than he did with me. Once, he even missed most of my birthday party, and then he brought me another oyster with a pearl as a gift. I'm sorry, but a dolphin asked me for help. Eric explained calmly. What kind of help? I folded my arms across my chest. He was hungry and couldn't catch a fish, so I had to help him. Eric, wake up! You cannot communicate with the dolphins! That's ridiculous! What about the time he took me for a ride? That was just a coincidence. We had a fight about it, and it got to the point where I told the guy I wasn't happy, that he was spending a lot less time on shore than he was in the water. And Eric's excuse was that he's a merman, and he can't live without water for long. I wanted to smash my forehead with the palm of my hand, and then his. But instead, I cried all night because I knew that we should break up. But in the morning, when I was determined to do that, Eric came up to me and apologized. I'm sorry, Rebecca. I was very selfish. I care about you very much, and I didn't want to fight with you like this anymore. I'm gonna try and spend less time underwater, so I can pay you a little more attention. There were fireworks of emotions raging inside me. I immediately kissed Eric, and I thought for sure our lives would be better now. But that wasn't the case. The girl I talked about in the beginning was back in our relationship. She was all Eric talked about. Can you believe it? She can hold her breath for half an hour. She also plays a mermaid in a show. And she came to our town to give a charity performance for the orphanage. And the coolest part is that Cynthia asked me to join her. Wow, you two have already met and even become friends, I grumbled, hoping Eric would notice my disapproval. But he didn't. Yeah, and I agreed. Oh yeah, Rebecca, I'm inviting you to our show. Last thing I needed. Watching my favorite Eric swim with some mermaid in the same tank. I noticed how beautiful this Cynthia was. She also has the same affection for the sea that Eric does. I'm sure they'll get close and fall in love with each other, and I'd be left out of the love triangle. So I decided to stop that performance and started feeding Eric the kind of food that usually gives him a tummy ache, so he wouldn't go to rehearsal. But instead, he would just take a pill and go off to rehearse a number with Cynthia, and then they'd go to the beach together, where, according to Eric, they would talk to dolphins and fish. That's when I decided to ruin the fish tank, which my boyfriend had specifically ordered for the performance. I put catnip on it, and Eric's cat, Roger, immediately jumped on it, and he started chewing and biting it. Oh no, my tail! Eric screamed and chased Roger away, but it was too late.
How did the catnip even get here?
The young man was perplexed. I felt so sorry for my boyfriend. I regretted what I'd done. I hugged my sweetheart, and then his phone rang. It was Cynthia. Eric told her about the problem, and Cynthia told him that she had a solution. Turns out, she also performs with a partner in her town and always carries his costume with her. I could lend you his tail.
That would be great.
Eric cheered up immediately.
Then see you at the rehearsal.
He immediately ran off, and I was literally burning with anger and jealousy. I bet they don't just swim with the fish, but also make out underwater. Eric always wanted me to learn how to swim and start sharing his passion for the sea. This one doesn't even have to learn anything. They were both born mermaids. Then I just decided to come to the rehearsal and see what they were up to. But the security guard at the entertainment center wouldn't let me in. You think that's what stopped me? Of course not. I got in through the back door, but I almost broke my arm when I fell on something very hard in complete darkness. But nevertheless, I made it to the hall, and what I saw shocked me. All my suspicions were confirmed. Eric was hugging Cynthia and even held her hands. I couldn't bear to look at it. I ran right over to them. I slapped Eric in the face and pulled Cynthia away from him by the hair. "I'm breaking up with you!" I shouted, unable to hold back my tears.
Rebecca, you've got it all wrong.
I've got it all right. You're a merman. She's a mermaid. Enjoy your life in the sea. I ran away and fell down again in that dark room. But I didn't care about the physical pain because I was tormented by emotional pain. I cried all night. I didn't answer Eric's calls or texts, and then I blacklisted him. I felt terrible about the whole situation. I mean, Eric betrayed me. No, I can't just let this go. I'll show him what I'm capable of in the heat of rage. On the day of their show, I snuck into the shopping mall. I pretended to be an employee. I gave the man in charge of the aquarium some powder.
What kind of product is this?
Why can't you keep anything in your head? I was indignant. This powder was ordered by Cynthia herself to keep the aquarium clean.
Oh, I'm sorry, miss. I'll put it in the water immediately.
Of course, it wasn't a cleaning powder. It was scabies powder, and it never loses its properties, even in water. Once the employee poured it in, I hid in the audience and waited for the show. Except there was only Eric in the aquarium, and Cynthia wasn't there with him. I looked around the hall and was shocked to find that she was sitting in the audience, just watching. What does that mean? Why isn't she in the water? She's ruining my genius plan. Once Eric dived into the water, he couldn't do any of the tricks because he was all itchy. The children were not happy with this kind of performance. Many of them cried. The organizers tried to calm them down and gave them free ice cream. But everyone's mood was completely ruined anyway because the audience wanted to see mermaids. Eric and Cynthia couldn't understand what happened, and I wanted to die of embarrassment. I thought I'd be making fun of them, but in the end, I felt so sorry for the actors and all those poor children. I mean, they're orphans. They don't see anything positive in their lives. And now, I've ruined their day.
I don't know what could have happened.
Eric said backstage. I'm sorry, Eric. Maybe the water wasn't of good quality. Cynthia hugged him. And that's when my heart sank. Because no matter what, my feelings for Eric were still strong. So, I decided to come clean. I came up to them, and I confessed that I asked to put scabies powder in the water.
But why?
Eric got angry. I wanted to get back at you. You went behind my back to make out with that mermaid. I looked at Cynthia angrily.
If you would have let me say a word, you would have realized that I wasn't cheating on you. Just before the performance, Cynthia had suffered a minor injury, and she couldn't perform because of it. She was very upset about it, and I hugged her to comfort her. She didn't want to cancel the show, so I swam solo. But it was ruined anyway, because of you, Rebecca.
Eric pushed me away, and I felt so ashamed of what I'd done. I wanted so badly to make up with my boyfriend and do something to fix the situation. Then I got an idea. 2 weeks later, I was at the beach waiting for Eric. Cynthia, who had witnessed our fight again, decided to bring us back together and help me bring my plan to life. A genius idea occurred to me. I decided to organize another performance for the children, but this time on the beach. I brought all the cool stuff Eric had found for me at the bottom. Now, we could give them to the orphans. Cynthia had been teaching me how to swim for 2 weeks and also how to move properly in the mermaid costume. When Eric came to the beach, he was pleasantly surprised. The kids and I waved to him. Eric and I swam together and collected beautiful things from the seafloor. As Sylvia handed them to the children, they laughed and cheered. The bravest of the orphans swam with us. After our grand performance, all the media started writing about us. Eric was happy, and I was happy because I was able to make Eric and those children happy. I'm sorry for everything, my love. I've been such a fool. I forgive you. He kissed my hand. You did a great job. You came up with a great plan. A couple of days later, Cynthia went back to her town, and Eric and I got to spend more time together. I fell in love with the sea and all its inhabitants, and I was finally able to come to an understanding with the man I loved. No longer did I have to rack his brains about him spending more time at sea than he did with me, because now we were swimming together. We were inseparable on land too, and sometimes we put on a little show for the kids. Would you be able to forgive me if you were Eric? Write your answers in the comments, like the video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories.